Hi guys, welcome to activity 2.15. It's called Differing Opinions, Acknowledging Opposing Claims. Please number your learning targets, number 1 and 2. Number 1 says, analyze the logic in the development of different points of view on the same subject. Number 2, create a claim and argue a position incorporating counterclaims in a class debate. So in the first one, you're looking at two different viewpoints. Person A, person B, how they disagree about something. You're going to be analyzing both viewpoints in order to do what in your final embedded assessment. So please share with your shoulder partner how you think this lesson applies to the final embedded assessment at the end by looking at the learning targets number 1 and number 2. I'm going to pause the tape. Okay. In the learning target number 2, you're going to argue a position incorporating counterclaims in a class debate. So I'm going to have one side of the room on the side that video games are really violent, the other side of the room that they're not that violent. They don't cause kids to do bad things that are violent. So you have to pick a side and then you're going to argue that side. Your learning strategies will be, you'll be using quick write, marking the text, skimming, scanning, metacognitive markers, graphic organizer, and debating. Before reading, you are going to do a quick write, so please get out your composition notebook. You're going to write one paragraph as a quick write in your composition notebook on this topic. Should violent video games be banned to minors, so anyone under 18, should they be banned? Go ahead and write that now. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Okay. Number 2, skim and scan both text, paying attention to text features to predict the opinions of each author. So you're going to skim and scan, looking at the text features like the titles, the pictures, any kind of vocabulary, any kind of text feature, and then you're going to predict the opinion of each author. So the first one, the first article is failure to ban violent video games makes job harder for parents. Please make a prediction for what you think the author's point of view is on that. The second one is called It's Perverse, but it's also pretend. Please make a prediction what you think the author's point of view is on that, based on textual features. You're just skimming and scanning, looking at pictures, vocabulary. I noticed there's a quote at the end of that one. There's a picture on the first one. Please write 2 predictions under number 2. Okay, number 3. Mark the text by annotating the claim and reasons the writer makes about the topic. Use the My Notes space of your notebook to add your comments. So under Notes, you're going to mark the text. Under the My Notes space, you're going to add your comments that you have. So claim, you're going to underline it. Reasons, you're going to circle. You're also going to use your metacognitive markers that are on the side of your desk to annotate the text. So you're underlining key ideas and details, exclamation points at wow points, questions at questions, circling words you don't know and looking them up, an asterisk for comments. So please use your metacognitive markers, underline the claim, circle the reasons as we go. This one is an online article and the title is Failure to Ban Violent Video Games Makes Job Harder for Parents. It's by Tamika Mallory. Before we start this, please number your questions on the side of your text because you will have these questions at the end that you'll be responsible for answering. I will ask these questions and you'll have to hold up the answer on your barcode. So it looks like you have 1, 2, 3, you have 3 questions. So 1, this is number 1, and then you have on page 153, you have questions 2 and 3. Make sure you're answering those as we go through. Alright, I'm going to play this article. You are going to mark the text. Remember, I'm going to review it again. You're underlining the claims, circling reasons, using your metacognitive markers. Here we go.
Failure to ban violent video games makes job harder for parents by Tamika Mallory. As a mother of a teenage son, I can't begin to tell you how many times I've walked into a room and turned off a video game or TV program that I felt was inappropriate for a still developing child. But despite how often I pull the plug or refuse to let him buy certain products, the reality is that our Supreme Court just made my job and the job of other parents that much more difficult. Ruling on Monday that violent and dangerous video games could not be banned to minors, the Supreme Court, in essence, said to all of us, you're on your own.
All right. Please try to find the claim and underline it. Circle reasons and evidence. Use your metacognitive markers on your desk. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. I'm going to pause the video now. Ready, set, go. All right, I'm going to play the next paragraph. So we are going to read from raising all the way to the word kids. Okay, here we go. Please mark the text as we go through this section.
Raising a child in today's culture of aggression, accessibility to negative influences, and overall instability is a challenge for any mother out there. Once upon a time, there used to be a concept of the community. Regardless of how much our mothers and fathers were working, we knew that a neighbor or elder could and would keep an eye on us. We knew that we couldn't engage in certain behaviors because it would, without fail, get back to our parents. There was a real sense of looking out for each other, and a profound sense of looking out for future generations. But today, the unity in community is lost, and the ones to suffer the most are the kids.
All right, please mark the text for this next section from raising to kids. You're marking. Ready, set, go. All right, I'm going to play the last section, so I'm just going to play the last 2 paragraphs where it says, as a busy working mother.
Working mother, how can I physically be everywhere my son is? The reality is, no parent can be with his or her child 24/7. And while we may restrict gruesome video games in our homes, who will protect the kids when they set foot into the outside world? Knowing that my son wasn't running around on the streets, I took comfort in the notion that video games at least provided an alternative, safe form of recreation for young people. But what are we teaching them if these games are inundated with nothing but guns, shooting, and graphic violence? How different is that from what's tragically out on the streets? And what kind of subliminal impact are we having on these kids if we flood them with these messages? The Supreme Court has failed to protect us in the most fundamental manner. Who will prevent our children from the devastating material designed to pollute and tarnish their minds, body, and soul? In order to raise a strong, educated, and focused generation, it takes a village, including all levels of government. It's unfortunate that ours just let us down.
Okay, so now that you've read that, you're going to use your metacognitive markers and mark the text, circling evidence, underlining the claim. Ready, set, go. All right, the next piece, you're going to read this piece on your own. You have 2 questions on the side. Number 1 says, what is the author's claim? Number 2, why does the author compare violent video games to traditional fairy tales? What is the purpose and effect? You're going to read this with your shoulder partner. It's called It's Perverse, but it's also Pretend. If you don't know what the word perverse is, you might want to look that up, but you need to know the title because it really plays into what the author's claim is going to be. Then you're going to read the article, again, underline the claim, circle evidence, and use your metacognitive markers. You're going to alternate with your shoulder partner. Person on the right is going to read paragraphs 1, 3, 5, and 7, 9, 11, so the odd ones. Person on the left is going to read the even ones, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so on and so forth. Ready, set, go. Okay, at the end, you are going to answer number 4. It says reread and mark the text for logical reasoning and devices. Annotate by analyzing or commenting on the effect of the reasoning and devices in the My Notes section. So you have to annotate the text, and you are going to write logical reasoning and what devices they use, just like in the last text we did this. Then what was the effect? Are they using ethos, logos, pathos? Are they using parallel structure or repetition? What are they using? Number 5, complete the graphic organizer to evaluate arguments. So we have reasons and evidence for banning video games to minors, and then your opinion. Reasons and evidence against banning video games to minors, and then your opinion. Okay. Make sure that you're acknowledging counterclaims. This is really important in your own essay, that you're making sure that you address what they are going against. So part of arguing effectively, we're right here, part of arguing effectively is to acknowledge opposing claims, also known as counterclaims, the other side of the issue. Recognizing counterclaims adds to a writer's credibility, which is the ethos, because it shows that he or she is knowledgeable about the issue. To acknowledge a counterclaim, a writer or speaker recognizes an opposing viewpoint and then argues against it, perhaps by finding weaknesses within the opposing reasons and evidence. In other words, it is the yes, but part of the argument. Yes is recognizing the claim, but is the writer's response to it. So this is the part where I always say, I know you think blah, but blah. So you have to address what point of view they're coming from, especially when you're writing your own paper at the end for your embedded assessment. An example is, here's the issue. A teenager wants parental permission to go to a concert. The claim, I should be allowed to go to the concert without an adult. And then they're going to think about the counterclaims. Of course you are worried about me going without you. However, I have a cell phone with me, and we can check in throughout the concert. The second one, certainly I can see why you might be concerned, because you don't know all my friends, but be glad to ask their parents to call and reassure you. Third one, admittedly, it's a good point that I have to do homework. On the other hand, the concert is only a few hours long, and I plan to get most of it completed before I go. So you could use either of these reasons to back up why you should go to the concert. You're going to practice this scenario. So here's the issue, here's the claim. You're going to put the principal's argument, the student's argument. It says, mobile devices, so cell phones, tablets. Claim, mobile devices should be banned in school. You're going to put the principal's argument, what you think that would be, the student's argument, what you think that would be. You should keep in mind the other viewpoint on a topic, especially when you're writing your own, for your own essay at the end. So before we get prepared for this, here's some sentence starters for a counterclaim. It says, while blank may be the case, it is still true that ... Even though blank, the claim that blank still stands because ... So you could use these while you're arguing in a debate. You're also going to be using accountable talk. They're up on the wall. Like, I agree with so-and-so, but ... So you need to be using accountable talk throughout. I'll give you a copy of that as well. As you're preparing for the debate, you need to be either for or against. So first you're going to circle for or against depending on what topic I assign you. Or sorry, what side I assign you. Everybody is doing it on violent video games should be banned to minors, but you're either going to be for or against it. So half of the room is going to be for, the other half is going to be against. You need to come up with your claim, reasons. So you've got to have reasons, and then evidence, logo, so you need to use some kind of technology to look up your reasons before we can even debate. Recognizing counterclaim, you need to have, I know you think blah, but blah. Rhetorical appeals you can use for effect. You can use pathos, ethos. You should be using logos up here in the evidence. Rhetorical devices you can use for effect would also be, at the bottom you could use repetition, or you could use parallel structure. Okay, so we're going to have the debate. I'm going to pause it now. Alright, after we just did the debate, we're going to reflect. How clear was your claim? In what ways did you incorporate adequate evidence, logos, and address the counterclaim? Then the last piece we have here is language and writer's craft with phrases and clauses. I'm going to let you read this with your shoulder partner. Make sure you're using this in your writing. You're using clauses and phrases. And the last section we have is the argumentative writing prompt. It says, in your writing group, revise your text and incorporate an acknowledgement of a counterclaim. Use adding or replacing in your draft. Be sure to clearly describe and acknowledge the counterclaim. Use transitions and complex sentences with phrases and clauses to make your point. and then use correct spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Alright, so take out your writing and you're going to